So when we think of running, we usually think of it as a lower body exercise or form of movement. And it is true that most of the force does go through our lower body when we run. However, if we do not take care of our upper body as well, then we cannot truly realize our potential, as the upper body connects down to the lower body when we run to help offset some of the forces of gravity that's placed on our body every single step we take. So today I'm going to take you through a running specific upper body strength routine, and we're going to mobilize the different areas of the upper body specific to the postures that you'll see in running, so that you can just run free with less chance of injury, less chance of those annoying nagging pains that can pop up when running, such as neck pain or shoulder pain or even lower back pain. So I'm going to take you through specific exercises. It's going to connect the upper body through your trunk into your hips so you can be a more efficient and pain-free runner. I'm going to give examples of more beginner level exercises and then show you some progressions for when you build up more strength and you need a more advanced variation of the exercise, so you can really adapt this routine for whatever level of performance that you're trying to achieve. So let's get into this routine. So for this exercise, we just require a resistance band. If you're at the gym, you can use a cable machine as well. I just have it anchored here to a kettlebell on the floor, so you can use a kettlebell or any other object, making sure the resistance band is anchored down at floor level. Now we take one hand at a time. We step forward into the split stance position. So the leg that is in front of the body is on the opposite side of the hand that is holding the resistance band. Now from here, we extend our shoulder behind the body as far as we can. If you lose tension on the resistance band, do not worry here. Okay, you are just focusing on getting this hand as far behind the body as possible. From there, you perform a bicep curl with the palm of your hand facing up. Once you get the hand in front of the body, we then rotate our arm inward and perform a rotation in our upper back, okay, to complete this movement. Then we reverse the motion back to that starting position. Now our back leg, we are up on the toes, so we're connecting here from our foot, through our hips, through our spine, into our upper body. Now you want to make sure that you perform this exercise slow and controlled, as there are a lot of moving parts going on with this exercise. So we want to execute every single part of this exercise with precise control, making sure we're stable through our lower body. We want to make sure our hips are pointing forward, so we're not twisting through the hips. We're getting the rotation coming through our upper back. So as you can see, my upper body is also rotating as I go through these motions, the same way it would if we are running. Now, if you wish to test your strength further and progress from this resistance band exercise, I'm going to take you through two different exercises now that can be performed on a TRX or suspension trainer, which is really going to test the shoulder and the bicep strength, also through your core muscles as well. So we'll go through those progressions now. We begin in this tall standing position with our hands roughly shoulder height pressed out in front of our body. From here, we take one leg, we step forward into a forward lunge, leaning over that front leg as we perform a reverse bicep curl, lowering our hands down towards the waist, and we simply continue leaning forward as we extend our arms behind our body, trying to straighten them out as much as we can, feeling a stretch through the front of the shoulder and our bicep muscle. From there, we perform a bicep curl as we push off that front leg to return to the standing position, rotating at the shoulder and finishing with the hands pressed out in front of the body once again. So we're using the leg and the lunge movement to assist with this movement, trying to generate as much force as we can through our upper body, but only as much as we can completely control. So use as much of the legs as you need to as an assister before progressing to the next more advanced version of this exercise. So to increase the difficulty of this exercise, we now remove the forward lunge and we keep our feet stationary the entire time. So now all of the emphasis is on our upper body and our core muscles to stay stable and perform this movement efficiently. So make sure you only progress to this version of the exercise once you have completely mastered the assisted version and you have full control through your arms and your shoulder muscles with this exercise. So the same movement is performed through the upper body. We start in this tall position with the hands pressed out in front of our body at shoulder height. We then gradually rotate at the shoulder as we lower our hands down towards our waist, continuing this extension through the shoulder as the hands now come behind the body. We're leaning forward, we're contracting through our abdominal muscles, squeezing our glute muscles to keep our hips and our spine stable and safe. This is going to also create a stable structure so that when we perform the bicep curl to return to standing position, we have a strong, stable posture the entire time, so we're not losing any force. Now for this next exercise, we still have the resistance band at floor level, and we're now adding a kettlebell, or you can also use a dumbbell instead if you wish. And we're continuing through this trunk rotation as we perform a row with the resistance band and a press with the kettlebell or the dumbbell at the same time. And then we return both down to their starting positions. Okay, so we're moving both arms in opposite directions at the same time, making sure that our hips stay pointing forward. We contract through our glutes. Okay, so squeeze your glute muscles, keeping your hips level. Perform a row and a press at the same time, slightly rotating through your upper back as you perform this exercise. So stay tall and proud through your posture the entire time. Make sure you are keeping this tempo fairly slow, nice and controlled, rotating through the shoulders. Making sure you drive the elbow back on the rowing arm as far as you can, while fully extending the arm overhead on the pressing arm. Now to make this exercise more difficult, I'm going to take you through another version on the TRX or suspension trainer. Test your core strength a little bit more, test your upper body strength a little bit more. So we'll go through that progression now. Position yourself with one hand holding onto the handles of the TRX suspension trainer, and then position the other hand at shoulder height holding onto either a kettlebell or a dumbbell. So you begin with the hand that is holding the TRX in an extended position with your body weight leaning back. You allow that shoulder to roll forward slightly to get a stretch in your upper back, and then from here perform a rowing motion, pulling your body up to a standing position. As you do so, press the weight overhead and perform a slight rotation in your upper back. So the shoulder that is pressing the weight is rolled forward. The shoulder that is pulling on the handles is pulled backwards, creating this rotation. Then return to the starting position. Keep your glute muscles and abdominal muscles engaged the entire time. Try to keep your hips in a stable position, and all of the rotation is coming through the upper back area. Now with this exercise, we're going to connect the hips, the lower back, up into the upper body in a rowing motion. So we're taking one kettlebell in one hand. We're performing a half hip hinge, okay, so this is about a half range of motion deadlift. We hold this position here and we row this kettlebell up towards our hips, back down towards the floor, making sure that we're rotating through our upper back the entire time, and we're not rotating through our lower back. So we're keeping it nice and stable, making sure our hamstrings, our glute muscles are engaged and they are supporting this movement. You can imagine that you're flexing and you're extending your upper back. You're pushing your hips up towards the ceiling and you're pushing your chest up and out. This is going to engage right through your erector muscles, through your spine. It's going to keep your spine strong and safe while making sure that that rotation's just coming through the upper back. And you're connecting from your feet through to your upper body. Now I'm going to take you through some progressions with this exercise to increase the stability and the demand on the hip muscles. Okay, so now we're really bringing the hips into this next exercise. We're going to test the hip stability while still strengthening the upper body. So once again, connecting the lower body through to the upper body. So we're performing a one-legged deadlift, okay? So we're going to take this kettlebell in one hand. We're going to lift the leg that is on the same side as the kettlebell. We're going to slowly hinge at the hips, keeping our posture and our torso nice and tall. We're not going all the way into a full hinge. We're just going into a half hinge here. Hold this position, row the kettlebell in towards our waist, back down to the floor, rotating through our upper back the whole time. Okay, if you need any assistance, you can plant the foot, this airborne leg, down to the floor instead as you work on building up your hip stability and strength over time, and then you can progress to this elevated version. Okay, and it's really becoming a full body exercise now. So you want to make sure that with this exercise you start with a light weight, as we are requiring a lot of balance through our hips, through our glute muscles, through our legs. So we want to make sure that this entire movement feels smooth and controlled, while making sure that we keep our hips stable the entire time, so the force does not go through our lower back, as we're not aiming to twist the lower back, just the upper back. And really make sure that the entire time you're getting good rotation through that upper back. Okay, so remember, when we run, we rotate through our upper back, so we're really trying to enforce that rotation with these exercises. Okay, so now we're going to fire up our abdominal muscles, and we're going to add in another pressing motion with this next exercise. Okay, so once again, we take a kettlebell in one hand. We're now lying on our back with this exercise. Okay, so rest your head, get it nice and comfortable. Now we take the leg that is on the same side as the pressing arm, we extend it out in front of our body. We lift the knee up on the opposite side. We take our opposite hand, press it towards the ceiling, and then we perform this pressing motion with the weight. We lift our upper back off the floor to contract through our abdominal muscles. We take this opposite hand and bring it down towards the floor, and then we return back to the floor, changing the position of the legs like so, and then we perform the movement again and back down. Okay, so we're running with our legs in this floor position, making sure we stay stable through our abdominal muscles. We're getting strength through our shoulders, and we're connecting the lower body through the abdominals into the shoulders. So try to make sure that you are keeping your lower back flat on the floor the entire time as you're performing this exercise. You want to really make sure that your abdominal muscles are supporting your spine through this movement. Start with a really light weight. It can be either a dumbbell, a kettlebell, or any other household object. You can even use a can of beans if you really need to. Just something to initiate the movement, and as you gain strength and control over time, then you can increase the weight, but only progress once you feel you have mastered the movement and you are not in any danger of injuring yourself. It's all about control and safety, and safe, steady progressions over time. So there you have it. It's a very simple yet very effective upper body routine that is specific to running. It takes you through these arm strides. It connects your shoulders through your trunk into your hip muscles. So remember, start with very light weight and start with the most basic progression with each exercise, and then only increase the weight and only advance to the next progression once you have mastered the most basic version first. Take your time with this routine. It can be performed once or twice a week, depending on your goals, depending on what kind of strength you're trying to improve upon. You can add this routine to an existing workout that you may perform on a regular basis, or this can be a completely standalone routine as is. So I really hope you enjoy this routine. I hope they are some new exercises that you can add to your tool belt and just expand your movement practice, expand your movement awareness, and ultimately make you a safer, stronger runner for the long term so you can just enjoy the freedom that running provides and the enjoyment that it provides. So if you liked this routine and you feel that it has helped, please let me know in the comments section. Let me know which exercise really helped, or if there's any other exercises or routines that you'd like to learn about in the future that can help me, give me some ideas to create further routines for you. And like I said, really hope it helped. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.